Hi everyone, welcome back. Now we're doing a video on a PDW today, not this PDW. There was a few people in the last video that I did on this saying that once again I seem to be the only person plagued with really poor QC. So everyone's saying that their stocks and receivers are solid, and it's just another one of those episodes of it sucks to be me, and I seem to be constantly get sent the lemons. But yeah, not really a fat lot I can do about it. Marui being one of those brands that you could not track down anywhere. I don't know what I'm meant to do, so we'll just have to try and fix it ourselves as per usual. But the PDW that I was going to give an update on today was none other than my SLR B15. So a few people have mentioned, what happened to this build, what was going on. The only real piece that you're going to see has changed is I went from the green charging handle from the Mark IV build, and I've gone with another PTS one just because they're in stock and honestly they work really well. So that's the only part I've changed, but there is a couple of issues with this kit. First issue I had was the rail would always pull off to the left hand side, so it was kind of off and it was tilted a little bit. I had to do a little bit of fettling to sort that out. However, you'll see, even with this tightened down, it can move. The little sort of gas rod blocking plate thing here, I don't know what it's called, is super loose and it rattles. And I just still need to thread lock the barrel and components in there. I haven't done them yet just because I'm not certain on whether I'm going to switch that up and put like a different flash hider on there or whatever. So that's an issue. The other issue was the stock, the 5KU one. I mean, I've hardly used this gun at all. If you push that, it doesn't lock into place like it did the first couple of times I used it. You actually have to pull it out and then it will lock. If I push that back in, if I do it the other way and I point the stock down, it will do it properly. It still has to like sort of latch in. So either the springs are weak or they're just not giving enough force. Perhaps they need pulling out and stretching. Who knows? The next issue with that stock is even with this tightened down, it can rotate. So, the tolerances aren't quite there. Not really sure what I'm going to do with that. I did want to keep this nice and short, but going and finding another brand PDW stock out there for the TMMWS that's in stock. I mean, if you can find one, let me know, but all the 5KU ones seem to be out of stock. All the other branded ones seem to be out of stock, so it's kind of one of the things. The only other thing I could do was turn it back to a normal M4 stock tube, but it's kind of defeating the point of why we built this thing. The next issue is with the pin. So if I push this pin out, I find something to hit it with, little hammer here. The issue with this rear pin is that most of the time the pin just pulls straight out, and it's actually not doing it now. As soon as I turn the camera, it doesn't want to do it, but this pin will just pull straight out, and the spring stopper just wasn't, it was moving up and down freely, but there was no spring tension there. So I do want to have a quick look at that and see what's going on there. So we use a 4mm Allen driver to remove that screw. And I imagine either the spring is just stuck or something else is going on. Oh, the spring seems all right. So I'm not sure what was going on there, or perhaps it's one of them things where it doesn't sit in this properly and the spring can sort of drop into the bottom of the grip. That actually might make sense. So I'm probably gonna have to find a way of putting something really thin and flat there and stop it from going into that. Basically it's sitting in that part of the grip, I think. Yeah, it would make sense. So that's also a pain. Not that it's an issue because the pins are that tight anyway. It's not going to be a detriment, but pushing it in, it seems to push that spring, so maybe it had just got stuck. The spring isn't deformed, but when I just popped the receiver apart to put that charging handle in, the pin just fell straight out. So again, I think I'm getting plagued with, and everyone seems to sing praises about this MWS kit. I suppose it always makes an interesting video. The next issue I'm going to have to solve is I do need to make a new buffer for this. Now it is sitting in there at the moment because it's at the right orientation, but if we turn this, it just shoots straight out. So all I need to be doing really is replicating this part, probably turn it out of a bit of aluminium or some steel, make it the same size, make it completely round rather than having these flat edges. Doesn't really need to have a hole in it either. And then obviously drilling out the back and then putting a pinhole in there so we can still use the buffer part. I'm not even sure the buffer part does anything, because when that spring, if we coil up this spring a little bit, when this spring is coiled up, you'll see the buffer part can't actually, the buffer part's about here, and we've still got a lot of spring to go, so the buffer part has no interaction with the rear part of the stock, because when the spring's coiled up, it leaves a gap like about that, so the spring's bottoming out first before this does. So that could mean that it will just be easier for me to make this part. We could just put the buffer on there for the peace of mind, but yeah, that's another issue with this build. Everything else seems to be working pretty fine. And the final issue which I want to get into is magazines. So let's get this thing put back together. You know, to be honest, once the gun's put together, the buffer doesn't really give you an issue. So we could just leave it. There is full travel on the bolt. That's nice. I do have one of those Bavtac Z plates in there which allows the bolt to sit a little bit more forward, which is why we can see the Salient logo there. But this kit has an issue with magazines. So in terms of the way the magazine's firing, I can't see an issue. You know, putting the magazine in, putting rounds through it, no problems whatsoever. So with a short mag, obviously the magazine's empty. We lock on empty once the magazine's empty. Full 35 round, full size MWS mag. Again, no issues whatsoever. And if this does it on camera, I swear I'm going to pull my hair out. We slap a P mag in there. It just does not bolt lock. So the bolt is down. If I press the button, you'll see it comes up. If I push it down, it sticks. So the latch on the magazine is getting stuck on something. I don't know whether the plastic's being pinched like that and it's stopping it a little bit. I don't know whether it's catching on the back side. So yeah, PMags will work, and I've tried this with various other PMags. It just won't bolt hold on empty, so I think this might have a bit of gas in it. Let's try shooting it. The shock of shooting it might work, so no gas. Put some gas in this magazine. And, you know, sod's law, this PMag's leaking once again. If they do lose their gas pressure, they start leaking. I think what's going to have to happen is you're going to have to gasket seal the bottoms. But sometimes it will work. it's just unreliable. Now, putting some rounds through it has stopped the mag from leaking a little bit, but yeah, we got just teething issues. Not sure if anyone else out there has got this kit and has the same issues. Apart from that, the kit looks fantastic. I do wish... Where are you binding? Sometimes the stock will bind, but I'm not really sure on what on. So yeah, I wish the stock was a bit better. But, you know, we've got a short PDW. It has a roll. You know, probably leave the suppressor off there and just keep it short, because that's the main feature of this build. And that's where we are. So it's kind of been parked with a lot of projects at the moment because there's so much gun work coming in. The next video will hopefully be the SGR12 video if I decide to film it, because there's a lot of work that needs doing on that. And if I do film it, it's probably only going to slow me down. A lot of Cerakote working. I've also bought another gas blowback SMG to review, as well as some really cool Gucci parts to put on it if they fit. So that'll be coming very soon when that lands here in the UK. The AKM arms, if you've been following those, they are ready and done. They should hopefully be shipping out next week, which is Monday the 10th or 11th or something like that. So for the next week, it's obviously been filmed on, what do you call it, Saturday, Sunday. Those should start shipping out, and we should be on to a winner. So thank you everyone for your patience with the AKM arms. They're almost ready. I am looking into sort of scaling up the production on the AKM arms, because I put the pre-order up and the pre-order sold out within like a couple of days. So that obviously means we have to do a lot more. So hopefully we'll get that done. Thanks for tuning into this video. It's just an update on the SLR B15 build. You know, it's pretty much done. Just niggly issues. I need to figure out getting that rail tight, and just making sure that that pin is fine. And to be honest with you, just run it for a bit. I mean, I don't have high hopes for the finish on the receiver. I think it's going to scratch up pretty easy, but we'll get there when we do. Thanks very much for tuning into this next video, and we'll see you in the following one. So from me and Bench, as always, catch you in the next one.